good evening, and you are watching the Cheese Room podcast of The Caller, live from the Man Cave, and it's Valentine's Day, so that tells you all you need to know really about my life. Joining me in the Lonely Hearts Club tonight, we're all, bitterly disappointed after the weekend results, so hopefully we can cheer each other up. John, firstly, how's the COVID, mate?
It's getting there slowly. I did manage to give my wife a beautiful Valentine's present. She got a positive COVID test this morning, so brilliant. Happy days.
Yeah, was it there an aura of inevitability about that, or is she blaming you?
Do you know what? I did offer to sleep in here in the garage, which is our little converted room, and she said, no, there's no point, so it was always going to happen, I think.
Well, there you go. It's always likely, isn't it? But it's good to know that you're not getting completely leathered about it. And joining us all the way from London town, he's normally moaning that we're late. So, you're late with us tonight, Paul. Mr. Muir, how are you, sir?
Yeah, good, thanks. I don't have COVID, and I'm ready to talk again about what happened yesterday. So, it's nice to be on. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Were you on the show, on the podcast last night, Paul?
I was, yeah. Me, Seb, and Franco dissected it. It was quite a difficult one to do, but we found some positives.
There were definitely positives to be had.
I think so. You were there yesterday, weren't you, Caller?
I was there yesterday. I was in my season ticket seat in the North Stand.
How many times is that this season you've been to the ground?
I've been to the ground lots of times. I just haven't.
Is it less than 10?
Well, I think we've only played 14 games at home, haven't we?
Okay. All right.
So in fairness, I think I've been about 8 times. So there you go.
Okay. How many times? How many of those in your seat?
3.
Okay. Not a great hit list, but yeah, go on.
Pipe and smoke it. There you go. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. Show the Cheese Room some love by sending in a super chat tonight. And please do hit that like button. It really helps the show. It helps the algorithm. It helps us get more viewers. So that's why we ask you to do it. So please do smash a like if you can. Don't let me set John on you. Let's get this out of the way firstly. Kerry, no, I did not leave early. I was in my seat all the way to the 95th minute. And then I went to see Steve Diver in the Tunnel Club afterwards to cheer myself up. And he was very happy. He was loving life down there. So there you go. There you go. It worked. Anyway. What did you get your wife for Valentine's, John?
What,
says it on the run sheet. You wrote the run sheet, so I know you. COVID.
It was no. I got.
That was.
I got some nice hand creams because she's been moaning her hands have been very dry from all the sanitizing and everything.
Yeah.
And a nice card off Amazon because I couldn't go out and buy anything.
Did she buy you anything?
Yeah, bought the Baileys and some chocolate.
That's a winner, isn't it?
Yeah. Can't beat the Baileys.
I didn't even get a card this year. I mean, that's all about, but there you go.
Just gave you a baby, mate.
That's because your wife gave you a baby a fortnight or less ago.
Well, that's true. I mean, there is that. But
what were you? Okay. I mean, what were you expecting for Valentine's Day after your wife was in labour less than a fortnight ago? What were you expecting?
Just a card. Just a card would have been nice, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? Show you care and all that. Anyway,
bit busy. I mean, bit busy.
I'm feeling the need to move on urgently from this, so we're gonna move on very quickly. Here's a picture of Steve Diver. There he is.
Hey.
Here in spirit.
It's just a gift that keeps on giving. That picture.
It absolutely is. And talking of gifts that keep giving, we've got some great sponsored prizes. So the Cheese Room is brought to you by Football Prizes. And there are some fantastic prizes up on their website right now. So this for one, Aussie Idealist sign and frame Spurs shirt. Tickets are $2.95. There's only 100 of them. So grab yourself a ticket today, being with a shout of winning that. And that ends tomorrow, the 15th. So you better be quick on that. Of course, using the Cheese Room's exclusive discount code POD10, you can save 10% off all ticket prices. So that is pretty awesome. And they've also got a winner's choice hospitality ticket. So tickets are $9.95 for this one. but there's only 65 tickets, so your odds are pretty good for winning it, and the prize is amazing. So you go get to sit with Paul Muir in hospitality. 2 tickets for Spurs versus Everton in the hospitality lounge. Of course, if you're sick of Spurs and want to go watch another team, there are other options available. The choice is yours. And it's worth pointing out that patrons can save even more, 33%, I believe. So if you're interested in that, then please do go to the scrolling ticket below, patreon.com/Cheese Room Podcast. It's £3 a month. You save money on football prizes. You get exclusive chat room access to chat with all of us and the guys and the boys on the podcast, and competitions, fantasy football, loads of different things. I'm crap at the fantasy football, if I'm honest. I only enter so people can laugh at me. A bit like life, really. That's depressing. But there you go. I thought I'd say that before anyone else did.
Oh,
so, right. Talking of laughing at people.
Can I just bring this up before we go any further?
Go for it. HG's clearly reminds me. Yeah, I think it's the latter. So I think he did stay up last night and watch the Super Bowl. So he was quite glad of the rest this evening, unfortunately. So there you go.
Sorry.
HG, last to the Romantics. Oh, first to the Romantics, maybe, but he's just using the Super Bowl as a cover. Who knows? Let's talk about the game then if we have to. 2-0. Yourself and I were there, Paul. What did you make of the starting lineup?
I think I've said before, I don't ever want to see Doherty in a Tottenham shirt ever again. He just doesn't work out in any shape or form. I don't care if we play a back 4 or we play 5-3-2, or he even plays right midfield as he did at the beginning of Chelsea. He's rubbish. He hasn't worked out. He doesn't deserve to be anywhere near the first team. That was the first issue I had yesterday. It's good to see Bentancur start. I've got high hopes for him. Romero back. Cess, I thought, yeah, okay, Cess, this is your opportunity after Moura being sent off, injuries. I was all right. I was a bit disappointed to see 3-4-3, but I didn't, I was hoping that we could hit him. We were going to set up for the counter, hit him with a pace up front. Son, Lucas, and Kane doing their thing. But as we know, it didn't turn out that way. But when I saw the lineup, it was Doherty that gave me the real kind of the issues to worry about.
Kind of the opposite to me, because I've been sort of saying Doherty deserves a chance in a wing-back position. The reason for that is he actually looks good when he plays in a wing-back position. I mean, you've seen him once at Leicester, and he was a threat in the box, but we never got that far forward this game. We can talk about that in a minute. So Doherty wasn't such an issue for me. The biggest issue for me was seeing a 2-man midfield with Winks in was what particularly offended me. And he then went on to have an absolute howler of a game, which, just shows that I do know what I'm talking about sometimes, I suppose. But John, what were your views on the lineup? Bentancur in for Hojbjerg. Were you a bit surprised it wasn't Bentancur in for Winks? And I'm not just saying that because I don't particularly like Winks.
No, because Hojbjerg was taken off in the last game, which is the first time he's been taken off for Winks. Or often Skip was the man taken off, wasn't he? And Hojbjerg's been terrible recently, so I think it was a case of either one, to be honest. I would prefer a midfield 3. I think we've gone around the houses a bit like this. Could you have done Hojbjerg with Winks and Bentancur? Possibly. But I think when they played 3-4-3 on Thursday night, so it sort of made sense to match them up. Unfortunately, they didn't play 3-4-3. They played 3-5-2, and they just outmanned us completely.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, when you look at their midfield, I mean, Neves is a quality player. You got him in there, and he really bossed it. I thought in that first half, especially. Winks here not being fit for purpose. Completely agree. He wouldn't be anywhere near the bench if it was left to me. But there you go. What do I know? Both wingbacks changed. So were you a bit surprised to see Sessegnon in the team, Paul?
No, because we've had 3 games in a week. I think Conte's obviously tried to rotate, shuffle the pack, whatever you want to use the adjectives. I like Cess. I like his brother Stephen. I think we could have got him maybe a season or 2 seasons before. I think Cess has just been really unlucky. The lad's going through a really hard time. He's had bad injuries. The game against Moura, which I just alluded to 30 seconds ago, 45 seconds ago. I was all right to see him there because I just think he needs a run of games. and then to get hooked after 20 minutes yesterday, and we still don't look any better. I think he's gonna take a real kind of arm around the shoulder from Conte and the lieutenants and all the coaching staff, and even someone like Mason. Mason knows him kind of nearer his age kind of thing than Conte. He's going to take some coming back. He got a really lovely round of applause. He came off my side, East Lower, went round the south stand into the dugout. Yeah, I really felt for him. He got a lovely reception, so you can see the fan base is behind him. It's just a shame that it's not worked out for him, because there's a player there without a doubt. It's just, he reminds me a little bit of Kyle Walker-Peters, that he doesn't have the confidence yet to go on the outside of someone. Either does Doherty, and that's why I don't like Doherty. Doherty stops and plays the inside ball to Hojbjerg, Skip, Bentancur yesterday, who happens to be on his inside. He never goes on the outside. And Cess is the same. He's just looking a little bit reticent right now. Don't know if he trusts himself, he trusts the groin, the calves. I'm not sure, but I just think if we see him like giving a couple of games 90 minutes just to go at someone and see what happens, but he won't play at the weekend. It'll have to be Reggie, because obviously Conte trusts Reggie more than Cess.
Yeah, you need your best 11 out against the best team in the country, and Reggie is a better left back. But
he's a better left wing back.
Yeah, certainly. I felt really sorry for Sessegnon personally, and it was lovely that he got an ovation, and I saw Conte put his arm around him and say some words to him. Absolutely, he was a victim of the tactics. But for me, him and Doherty I don't know whether we were playing like we were because we were being pushed back so much. But when either of them got the ball, you're quite right. They turned inside and looked for a safe pass. They never took the man on. They never made it past the halfway line. And really, your fullbacks have got to be bombing on. Where we've seen Doherty play well at Leicester, it's because he was getting into the final third and he was causing chaos in their box. That's where you want Doherty to play. That's his strong suit. That's how he plays. But we've never seen that at Spurs because we've never played that kind of football, and that's what frustrates me slightly. And then, of course, we put him as a right back in a flat back four, and you know what you're gonna get. What you're gonna get because we've seen it time and time again. And I don't think he was the worst player on the pitch by any stretch of the imagination. Harry Winks.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
No, he wasn't.
But it's not his strongest suit. Sessegnon, again, a shame. I think you're right. A lot of confidence needs to be built up with him, because I think he's a player who has got loads of promise, and I do think long term he will be a good player for us. But I saw a few comments. Here's a good one from Nick. Until Cess gets a run of 3 or 4 games, I'm not sure you judge him, and that is true. He does need a run of games. He absolutely does need a run of games.
Okay, can I ask a question there? With and John, please jump in there at any point as well. Is that the confidence is probably under Conte at the moment after this week at an all-time low. These boys these boys are suffering with confidence. They're not going to get in a team for the next 2 or 3 games, are they? Because you're not. So you've got to balance that up, haven't you, as a coach? You've got to think, right, okay, he knows 12 or 13 players that he trusts. I'm sorry, caller. Winks is one of those guys he does trust. He does trust him. So
he may do. That's his downfall. But
So your players like Rodon and your players like Sessegnon and these guys who we'd like to see given an opportunity won't be given an opportunity next 2 or 3 games, because we've got to get ourselves out of this hole and this bad run of form right now. And I think
Rodon might be given. I think you might be in luck, Paul. I think he may be.
Today, Rodon played 23 games. Sorry. Today I looked at a little bit at Rodon's stat. At Swansea, he played left centre-back.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. Honestly, I wasn't. I thought he said
the right-footed left centre back. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't understand, and I saw that Ali Gold today put something up that some of the what I think of Ali Gold is not much, but seemingly some of the more senior players of the squad are trying to push for Rodon to be included. No, I don't see Harry Kane or somebody going into Antonio Conte's office say like, I want the Welshman, not Davis. I want the other guy playing at centre. I don't know what you think about that as a report from Ali Gold, but I think Rodon deserves a chance. I really do. I don't think he's a panicker. I just think he needs like a run of 3 or 4 games, but he won't get them in the next 3 or 4 games because we're in such a bad run of form right now. So what does Conte do? Does he ride it out with the 13 players that he trusts? He's not going to shuffle his pack now. He can't.
I think what's alarming is how much we miss Dyer. who for me was never a top class centre back, but has developed into a really important player for us. Certainly since Conte joined, but even before that, I mean, he was pretty decent all season for Nuno. John, how big a miss is Dyer? And I assume he's back for City. He'll really help shore up the back line, won't he?
Yeah, Conte said on his pre-match conference on Friday that he was a possible for City. I think we desperately need him back. Even if he's back, to be honest, I think we're going to get smashed, but it will be less of a smashing with Dyer there, I think. And I think he gives confidence to the likes of Sanchez, who obviously was Bambi on ice again. He reverted back to type. But it's no surprise that the number of managers have trusted him. You know, Mourinho played in there, didn't he, at times? Gareth Southgate really spoke highly of him. He said that he found it very difficult to drop him, even when he was playing poorly for us. And Conte likes him. He is clearly the organiser and the talker in the middle. Whereas I think there's been comments saying Romero's not really that organiser yet. Romero's a class player.
Well, he's early in his career, isn't he?
Yeah, he probably needs to switch to that right side for the time being when Dyer comes back in, I think.
I think with Conte ball as well, as I've noticed as well, he likes the outside centre-backs to carry the ball. Davis does go kind of like off range sometimes, and he does get himself into the box, and he does do an undercut of his left wing back. And I wouldn't mind seeing Romero go on the right hand side of Dyer and give and let him have license to carry the ball, because he does carry the ball quite well. What I've seen so far. So I think you're right. I think Dyer is that linchpin kind of keystone in the middle of the back three, and it'll be Davis or Rodon. Probably Davis, and then Romero. As I said on the podcast, I'm on a Romero hype train now. I wasn't too sure, but watching him yesterday with what was going on around him, he was cut and shot. He was head and shoulders
quality
above.
player.
He was quality, wasn't he, man? He was. He really was.
I've always thought that.
He doesn't panic. He didn't. No. I think he gave away 2 fouls yesterday. He's got amazing kind of like perception of where the ball's going to be, and he gets in front of it. Yeah, reads it brilliantly, doesn't he? And he's clean, and it's clean now, and he's not that kind of like shouting and screaming at oppos or getting sent off, and he hasn't shown that in the last couple. He's very, very good, and I think Dyer, him, and Davies I think, and then Skip in front of them. I think then you can judge where we're at the minute. I think some of the rubbish that I read today is just it's hyperbole. It's hyperbole. We wait till we get Dyer back and Skip or Hojbjerg with Bentancur in a 3. Hopefully go 3-5-2, and then let's see where we are.
Oh, it's just enormous. I mean, but we lose a game and Twitter screams angrily, ENIC out, everyone's an idiot, we're going to get relegated. So I think you have to bring it back and like look at it with a little bit of maturity, even when you're a bit emotional and angry after the game, which I think most Spurs fans were. Went 1-0 down, John. What did you make of that goal? I mean, awful start. 6 minutes, I think, we're on the clock, if I remember rightly.
Not even that, I don't think. It was just under. It was just awful, wasn't it? From start to finish. From Winks not getting out to Neves to close down the shot. And it was a decent first save by Hugo. You can understand why he didn't take it cleanly. But then it came back in, and then what was that punch? Hugo's been brilliant for us, since Project Restart, definitely. But that was awful. And the thing is, if he hadn't even punched it, I can't remember who it was. There was someone on the line who would have probably just headed it away.
Sanchez was behind him.
Right, okay. Oh, it probably would have gone in then off Sanchez, knowing what he's like, especially the game he had. But that was just an awful punch. But, I mean, shall I bring up that picture?
Slap. It's more of a slap.
Shall I bring? Yeah, it was terrible.
I'm not going to dig Hugo out too much because Hugo saved our bacon so many times.
Oh yeah, he has been.
He made 2 or 3 great saves.
But also, I'm going to bring up this picture here. This is a screenshot. This is just before Hugo punches it. Why have we got 6 players on the line over there? It's almost like they were half an hour late to get into Neves to close him down.
Well, yeah. I mean, look how many Wolves players you got forward. So you got 1, 2, 3, 5 Wolves, 5 Wolves players. Within the penalty spot. I mean, that's ridiculous. And they're ball watching. They're just ball watching.
Yeah, they were just slow. I mean,
crazy. Why are they all clumped over that side?
Well, because Neves had the shot, didn't he? They all went. There's no thought process in how we're defending. Whereas you could see every time Wolves got the ball, they swarm forward, and that's what they do. And then they get back into position and they hold it, make it very difficult to break them down. Go on, Paul.
There was panic. That's what it was. it was at every opportunity they went forward from
Yeah.
about 25, 30 minutes in. We panicked. I mean, Davis on another day gives away a penalty when Sanchez tries to dribble it out, and a terrible the touch of. Oh, I won't say it because we're a PG, but he gives it away, and then it goes into their forward, and Davis slides in. I don't think he makes any contact with the ball,
No.
and I mean that's a penalty straight away. Just this is like that. Every time they went forward yesterday, I thought they're going to score. They're going to score. They're going to score. We just couldn't defend, and I think we panicked. When you see someone as dependable as Hugo make 2 key errors that lead to 2 goals, that is like a cancer that spreads through the team, I think, in my opinion. I think that this international, our captain, first and foremost, secondly, international captain, World Cup winner, and also, as John has said, the most consistent player we've had since Project Restart, and he's made 2 mistakes. If he's going to get it wrong, what's going on? You know,
there's our PG rating. Oh,
excuse me, I'm sorry, but it's almost like it's like what's going on. There was widespread panic yesterday. You could see it with Sanchez, and you could see it a little bit with Davis as well. That, I mean, the clearance straight to their player after Hugo shanked it off to the left, and they score. I don't know if that's it's confidence, one thing, and also as well, it's just concentration. I mean, these guys are not. These guys have like played a lot of football internationally, and for Spurs, I just don't understand why they panic that way. I just don't get it. I just don't understand why we just kind of, maybe it's because Lloris, Mr. Dependable, let us down or made some mistakes, and then there's fear that spreads through. I don't know, but it was very evident yesterday. It was very evident.
I think that's the point. Hojbjerg organises normally. Hojbjerg does. He does a lot of shouting and chest beating.
There was a lot of this yesterday.
Dyer as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of kind of like Son and Kane. And Kane does it a lot, but Son was like, "Oh, just calm down." He was doing the kind of calm down kind of signal, and it was like, "Well, Son didn't have the best game," so I was like, "Why are you doing that? Just do your job, Son, and be offensive up the other end of the pitch." But I think those 2 boys, Kane and Son, were seeing a lot of panic. A lot of people, they just didn't want the ball. Bentancur wanted the ball. Well, he stood out, but he didn't do anything amazing. He was just very, very tidy. You know, you can't have midfielders.
I was going to ask you what you thought of Bentancur, actually, fellas. Obviously, his league debut, full debut. John, were you happy with him? Does he look a player?
He looks class, doesn't he? He's got time. What he needs, though, is a box-to-box midfielder next to him. So Skip's probably the closest we have at the moment. But he does need someone to do the running for him. He's not the fastest, but he just looks so calm on the ball, doesn't he? He can take it, he can pass it. I mean, whereas the rest of our players look scared when the ball hits them like that. Yeah. So it's definitely a player we need, but we need to get the right players next to him, I think.
Paul, Bentancur and who alongside him for you?
Bentancur and one of either Skip or Hojbjerg with Kulusevski is more advanced than those 2. That's the way I'd play a mini triangle in midfield in a 3-5-2. That's what I would do. Kulusevski, he's got the eye for that. We saw the slide balls yesterday, the little passes through for Son and for Kane, and he runs beyond Kane as well at points as well. I think that's the way to go. And if it's not Skip next to him, it could be Hojbjerg. That wasn't Winks' greatest game. Take Winks out of the equation for a couple of games now, and take Sanchez out of the equation when Dyer's back, and just let those boys kind of like just regain like a little bit of equilibrium, a little bit of confidence, and then try and maybe, I know you're not going to like it, but I would try and reintegrate those boys again.
I think you've got to reintegrate them this season because
we haven't got the
midfielders. They haven't got enough midfielders. Best thing about Bentancur, he wants the ball, moves to receive it, and actually calls. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He doesn't shy away. Let's talk about the second goal if we have to. I've tried to blank it out of my brain. John, talk me through who's at fault.
Who isn't at fault? Well, Hugo basically started off, didn't he, with a terrible pass, and then Ben Davis with probably as bad a pass. What I mean, where I couldn't see where he was passing it to. Obviously, you were right behind it. Where was it going to? Son?
Well, it was just a terrible, terrible ball. Yeah, I mean, he was trying to clear it, wasn't he?
And then you're already out of position. So suddenly your left side, your centre back is by the corner flag. Hugo's sort of not really set. So that we were just open, and then it was a bit of a calamity of errors, wasn't it? Whereas it pinged against the post, hit our player, and then what's his name? Dendoncker, who my mate,
Dendoncker.
who's a Wolves fan, always says runs like a duck, which if you watch him, he really does. Just knocks it in. He's a goal scorer midfielder. He's there. Who's the guy at the Czech guy at West Ham?
I don't know any West.
Central midfielder. Souček. He's their Souček, their Fellaini. He's that sort of player. He will always come up with a goal. And yeah, it was just horrendous, wasn't it, from start to finish? I mean, it's a good job my wife took the kids out yesterday because there was a lot of swearing in front of my TV, has to be said.
All within the first 10 minutes. I mean, yeah. And then obviously Sessegnon subbed off. Kulusevski, what do we make of his performance? So obviously he came on, we switched to back four. For me, we looked better, but still struggled in that first half. And it's just a constant theme with Spurs. We struggle. We start so slowly. We almost give 1-2 goal head start to most teams, it feels like at the moment. I mean, I know that's not necessarily true, but that's how it feels when you're at the game. But Kulusevski, let's talk about him for a minute. John, how do you think he got on, and do you think he's going to be a player for us?
He's only 21, isn't he? So there's plenty of time. I think he did all right. Didn't do, a couple of nice passes, like Paul said. It's weird. I said the other day that he does look a bit slow, but apparently he's not as slow as you think.
Turn of pace is good.
Turn of pace, right? Yeah. He clearly got an eye for a pass. It's going to take him a while to adapt to the Premier League. Not many players can come straight from the European League into the Premier League and hit it straight away. Bentancur, maybe because he's a bit deeper, is able and's got that. He's been around a bit longer, has got that class, and will be able to adapt. But yeah, maybe Paul's right. Maybe the 10 is the way to play him, or even sometimes if he can just drop into the left side of a midfield three, just to give a bit of stability. Might work.
Played all over the place at Juve, including central attacking. Paul, what did you make of him?
I liked him. I thought he was good. He picks up space really, really nicely. It's quite hard to get off the ball, and he thinks quite quickly. He releases it. He doesn't take 2 or 3 touches when one will do. The rest of the players have got it up their levels to Bentancur and Kulusevski's level, quite simply. And it's like the new kid coming in, as I said on the podcast again, is like used to do a lot of judo, used to spar a lot, and some guys you spar with and you get to know their game, and it gets a bit easy. New guy comes in, you just get smashed up. You get absolutely taken to the cleaners, and your gas turned off. And our boys have got to up their game now. They've got to see that Bentancur is a good player. They're going to move him because they know they're going to get the ball from him. Kulusevski, we've got to start he could be the attacking creative player that we need, and we've got to start feeding him quicker and better. And our front two, whoever they might be, or front three, if he stays with 3-4-3, they've got to learn to work as a unit. I like him. I think he's good. I think
Should have scored that chance, shouldn't he?
Without doubt. Yeah.
So it's a Premier League player, that's a sitter. He dragged it. I think it was about half a foot wide, wasn't it? But it was just a shame.
He looked knackered as well when he came off. Well, mind you, so did Bentancur, but Bentancur put in a shift yesterday. But Kulusevski, to me, still doesn't look conditioned enough at the minute to start or to last 90 minutes. He's not Tonga and Domble's level, but he still looked absolutely wasted when he left the field. Which is
Paul, I think you should repeat what Seb told you last night on the pod about Ndombele. How far did he run for Lyon yesterday or Saturday?
All right, so we were talking on the pod last night, and Seb said, he did have a good game. Was Tonga and Ndombele. He ran 10.3 kilometers yesterday in his match.
Yeah.
It's just Ndombele.
That's just trolling. That's just trolling us.
He's got points to prove, hasn't it? Look, we should be all very happy. If Ndombele puts a few good performances in, maybe we'll get the 50 million back. I doubt it, but maybe we'll get something back for him.
He'll be on loan at Lyon again next season. Guaranteed.
I would imagine so. But what was equally as scandalous as our defending yesterday, or what is as scandalous? There's only 27 likes from 100 people watching this broadcast right now. So come on, people, hit the like button. It costs you nothing. Takes 2 seconds. Means the world to us. A lot of huff and puff. Half time. I think I went for a pie at 38 minutes. Got so fed up with it, to be honest.
What pie did you have? What pie did you have?
It was a chicken tikka pie. It was quite good, actually.
Yeah,
it's good. Not as good as Paul's food looked in premium, obviously. But
I saw that on Twitter. Yeah,
but it was not bad, and it was better than watching the football, if I'm being really honest. And what normally happens when I go into the concourse, we normally score. So I was trying to do my bit for the cause, but not even that worked yesterday. So second half, huffed and puffed, no end products. Winks, I thought he was a little bit unlucky because his deflected shot, I think, was going in, to be fair, and hit the post, didn't it? And then obviously Kuleveski missed an open goal. One question for both of you: why is Kane still on free kicks? Anyone want to offer up a reason?
Because there's no one else. I mean, Son, you can take them. The one thing, was it Son had one, didn't he? And he was stood there with Lucas, and I just kept thinking Lucas at Marine, where he just dinked it over the wall. Why has Lucas not had a single free kick ever since that game?
He went a bit missing yesterday, Lucas. I think he got the guy at his debut, young guy. I think he clipped him quite early on, and the ref didn't give anything. And Lucas started just whining and moaning. And every time one of their players went down, he was over there in the rest. Yeah, he just didn't seem at it yesterday, Lucas. He seemed a bit out of sorts, I think is the word I'd use. The phrase I'd use. Lucas was disappointing. Kane on free kicks. Ego.
While you talk about that, drag it out. I'm just going to get a gin or take a comment. I'll be 2 minutes.
A gin. Okay. Yeah, Kane on free kicks. Has he scored one ever, John?
He scored that one against Villa, didn't he? Really early on, it was deflected. The game that saved Poch's managerial career at Spurs, pretty much, they always say.
Okay.
I think this comment here, Paul, is probably key. Dyer is injured, and he's probably the only other player we've got at the moment.
Is this because he scored a couple for England?
Yeah. Well, he's hit the bar a few times for us, hasn't he? But yeah.
He does. I tell you something as well, just on Dyer striking ability of the ball. We miss his long passing yesterday.
Yeah.
The wing back getting forward and being able to be hit. Toby and obviously Jan, I think it's the Ajax background. They played a lovely long pass. Well, Toby would ping it, and it was like a real offensive weapon for us. We really missed that. Romero did it yesterday once, I think about 82, 83 minutes in, where he did a kind of like chipped kind of golf shot over Dendonka's head, and Kane just failed to get on the end of it. That's a real. There's loads of space behind the opposed fullback, especially the way we play, and having someone who could hit the ball 30, 40 meters from the centre back position with accuracy, like Dyer can do and has done, would be really helpful for us. But put him on free kicks. He can strike a ball. He's got a great technique. I don't know if it's it's probably his European Lisbon sporting coaching when he was a teenager or whatever, but he hits a nice ball, Dyer. So stick him back on free kicks. But Kane gets it because his ego, isn't it? It's just like I'm the senior outfield player. I'm taking it.
I'll tell you why he does that though. It's because of that interview with Thierry Henry, where Thierry Henry said you should be taking free kicks. So he's done us like a kipper there, hasn't he?
Didn't Roy put him on corners once when Roy?
Yeah, he did.
Do you remember? There you go. So he's like, "Well, lads, I've done my dirty work. I've done my."
He's adaptable. He's adaptable. I'd say that I'd give anyone a go above Kane, to be honest, because we know that you can't hit him.
But Son takes them for South Korea, and he takes our free kicks around the pitch, just not direct ones.
His corners are really good, Son. His corners are really, really
generally good. Yeah,
they are. Yeah. I think that's something that goes amiss. Actually, his dead ball, as John said there, maybe not. Not around the box, but he certainly is. His corners are very, very good. They're not Ward-Prowse, but they're very good.
No, you're right. Yeah, definitely, it's something we have improved on.
Yeah.
Bergwijn came on again for Lucas, 71 minutes. Didn't really do anything, did he? Let's be honest, Paul.
No, he hit a little bit, Stevie. There were times when he could drop into space and then maybe take the ball in the half turn. He didn't. He stayed further up against their back three, back five, and didn't really show much. He didn't do much. I think Stevie is probably thinking, why is he not starting? I know he started at Chelsea away. After seeing Lucas yesterday, if we stay with 3-4-3, I would give Lucas some time out and start Stevie. I think even though Stevie didn't do much yesterday, from the get go, wide left, I think he played yesterday. Give him a start and let's see, because you can always bring Lucas back on. Yeah. Sorry, you can always sub in for Lucas later on, but yeah. Yesterday, you're right. I mean, Bogren didn't do much. No.
82 minutes. Emerson was brought into the fray for Doherty. I mean, was that the most weird sub you've ever seen, John? You need a goal and you bring Emerson Royale on.
I mean, he could have
I
moved.
mean, he scored to be fair, he did score against
was no
Southampton,
goal.
But yeah,
but you've got to get past their fullbacks, which he was never going to do. They were so tight defensively. Generally, he could have put Bergwijn at right wing back, couldn't he? And then brought on anyone. Could have brought another midfielder on. He could have brought Scarlett on. I know Scarlett's unlikely to score, but it was a really strange sub to make. There was no way that was going to help us win get back in the game at that point.
They're really good defensively, Wolves. I can see why they've got this. The second best after City, the second best defensive. Yeah, they are. Whatever you think about Dendoncker, he knows what he's doing. And Cody in front of him and Neves works incredibly hard. He's such a technical player. He's wonderful to watch. He really is. Neves. They're not bad. They're not bad at all. And defensively, they're really, really good. And it's that was the killer. That I think everybody probably knew it was going to be very, very unlikely that we get back in that game after 20 minutes. That's
exactly what my dad said to him when he was gloating to me on FaceTime earlier. He wasn't gloating. He was being really nice about it, but I know he wanted to. He sort of said, once Wolves are in front, generally, it's a real struggle for teams to break them down. I mean, in fairness, we hit the post. I mean, another day that Winks volley goes in because the deflection made it hit the post. That was going for the net, make no question. It was shifting. And then, Kulusevski missed an open goal. I think if we'd have got that goal on, 60, 70 minutes, we'd have maybe got a draw from the game at least.
I think we would. Yeah.
But
and you think Kane had that header?
Yeah.
Kane had the header blocked, didn't he, as well? We definitely had chances second half. Even first half, Son had a couple, but Son's not quite right. He's not fully fit yet, is he? After his injury.
Not clinical, and unfortunately, Wolves did not make the mistakes and give the gifts that we did. I don't think Wolves were any better than us, if I'm being really honest. I think we gifted them 2 goals, and they sat on it, really, really well.
They know how to do it. See a game out. That's professional job by them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
outside chance top 4.
Wolves.
What, Wolves
or us? Wolves. Yeah. I don't know what their fixtures look like, if I'm being really honest, Paul. So it's difficult to say, but no reason why not. They're in with a shout. We're in with a shout. Arsenal are in with a shout. There's 4 or 5 teams that are fighting for that 4th spot, and they all keep failing, don't they? Yeah. So it's going to be the team that are the most consistent. Look at West Ham. They were a minute away from losing to Leicester. Got a point out of it, but it's they're not exactly pulling away, are they?
So Wolves this season could be defined in the next 3 games quite easily. They've got Leicester at home, then they've got Arsenal at the Emirates, and then then they go to West Ham. So if they pick up some good points there, that could be really key for them getting into Europe, certainly.
Yeah.
And then they've got Man City to play in April and Liverpool to play on the last day. But otherwise, they're all winnable games.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Okay.
I agree. And again, we had most of the ball possession, most of the goal attempts, but couldn't make anything pay in the second half. Stat for you under Conte in the Premier League: when Dyer, Skip, and Hojbjerg start, you've probably already seen this one on Twitter. 5 games, no goals, 5 wins and no goals conceded. And when none of them start, 7 games, 13 goals conceded. So there's a clear pattern there, isn't there? Skip, Dyer, Hojbjerg, absolutely crucial to us. So they're not, Paul?
Skip is. Hojbjerg, that was the first game he missed yesterday, apart from COVID, since he's been at the Spurs. That was the first game. He's played a hell of a lot of football. He played, obviously, the Euros. We know what happened there. He's knackered. I know he's an extremely fit athlete. You can see that looking at him. You know what I do for a job. And they are those 3 coming back. I don't think if we are going to keep Bentancur and Kulusevski, like I said earlier, I'm not too sure which will be Hojbjerg or Skip. I'm not too sure who you put in there with them. It's either one or one or the other of those 2, Skip or Hojbjerg, to partner the new boys in midfield. I'd go with Skip because I'm not with John. I think he's a bit more box to box than Hojbjerg. Benny, if you're watching, Sorry, mate. But yeah, I'd go with Skip.
I think Skip's got a clever pass in him as well, which Hojbjerg doesn't really.
Yeah. Skip is a lot more creative than I watched Norwich. I watched every Norwich game last season because of Skip was playing there. And when Cantwell didn't play well, Skip played some lovely through passes, and linked and did some second and third man runs beyond their forwards. Pookie, he can do that. I don't know whether he's confident enough to do that with someone like Kane and Son in the team, or he's been told by the boss, don't do it yet. But I agree, John. I think he can be a lot more progressive than what we're seeing right now. We miss him massively. They wouldn't have got the space in midfield yesterday if Skip was on the field.
100%. And I think by having him fit, it gives you the option of playing a 3 a little bit more.
I think it's got to go to a 3 now, especially after they see what Southampton did to us. Yeah. And then yesterday, I think you've got to go 3-5-2.
And how much of this do you think Conte needs to take for his selection, John? And I'll come back to you, Paul.
That's right.
It's a tough one. He's still finding out about the players, isn't he? But the selection is worrying. This sticking with the 2 in midfield. I know it's partially because of the players available, but I honestly think they said on the pod the only game we've played 3-5-2 was Liverpool when we played really.
Leicester as well. We played 3-5-2.
Right, so probably our best 2 performances, arguably under Conte.
Yeah, it's our highest XG as well. Our highest XG this season.
Oh, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, of course.
Leicester,
4.89 or something.
I think Liverpool was up there as well in terms of XG.
It was. It was.
Well, Delhi had plenty of chances, didn't he, in that game? Yeah. But it's a strange one. I mean, I'd love to just stick a kid in at least for one game because the pros aren't doing it, are they?
Well, they're all pros, John. They're all pros. Paul,
the senior pros.
Conte, is he pushing his luck a little bit?
No, not yet. I talked to John earlier, and I put something up on Twitter earlier about honeymoon period. I don't think you can truly judge him yet until summer, and then see what he gets in. I think he talks about I don't know if it's on the run sheet or not, but he talks about pressure a lot. He talks about players on himself, and Harry talks about it, and so did Hugo in the Times last week. You can see that they're demanding a lot, and he's also talking about like we're working hard in training and stuff. So I'd give him the benefit, well, he doesn't need the benefit of doubt because he's an elite world-class coach. He gets to the summer for me, and probably till this Christmas, in my eyes, because you've got to give the players he gets in time to bed in and play together, and then hopefully we'll see some better football, some better systems of play, less mistakes, higher confidence by Christmas. I think he gets till then. You can't just unless this rubbish. I was going to swear there. This rubbish about Conte's going to walk. He's not going to walk. He's a professional. He's getting paid a lot of money.
Oh yeah, it's nonsense.
He's getting paid that's nonsense. He's not going to walk. He's not going to chuck his toys out the pram and say like, "Oh, this is not going my way. I'm off. See you later." He's not going to do that. I don't think I'm pretty sure he's not going to do that. So for me, he still gets the benefit of the doubt until we get the players that he wants. Paratici gets a third window, and then we see what's going on at the beginning of next season before the World Cup, because a lot of our players hopefully will go to the World Cup because we're going to get good players. We'll see then. In my eyes, I don't know if you agree, but that's how I feel.
Here's the tough question. This is the 6-pointer. Who had the worst game of the day?
Sanchez.
And I was hoping you'd say that because we haven't really discussed him yet. Where does he go from here? I mean, 2 lousy performances on the bounce, really, but it looked like he was starting to get his game together under Conte in the early days. But the last couple of games, I mean, he's been terrible, hasn't he? I mean, terrible game against Southampton, and even worse, arguably, yesterday. He just looks lost at times. I mean, he nearly gifted them a goal, as did Winks at times, as did various other people at times. But his touch for a professional footballer for that chance, do you know the one I'm talking about, where he 2 touches and he put, I think it was Jimenez almost straight through, one-on-one with the keeper because of his poor touches. Where do we go from here with Sanchez? He's just poor, isn't he? It's
baffling because he was looking good. Now, is it because he's missing Dyer? Because that's the only real difference. Obviously, there's an issue with our right wing back because Emerson's quite new to it, and He's not getting, he's not comfortable with it. And Doherty isn't a right back, and we switched to the back four quite early. But I was worried. That was the one thing that worried me about going to a back four was Romero and Sanchez as two centre backs together. I was quite worried about, and we got away with it in the end. But he's definitely reverted to type, as I said earlier. He's not playing well at the moment, and we desperately need Dyer back for the next game. And maybe we go Dyer, Romero on the right, Davis on the left, or he brings Rodon in. If he did mention him he was asked directly about Rodon in his press conference after the game, and he basically said he got a rib injury, and then in the first couple of minutes of the Morecambe game, he got another rib injury, which I didn't know. Might explain why he was a bit shaky most of that game. So maybe we'll see Rodon. Maybe, I don't know where you would fit him. I'm not convinced about him on the left, though.
All dreams will come true.
Yeah, it's Valentine's Day, Paul. Just for you, baby.
Mate, I'm just going to go get the name put on every shirt I've got on the back. The Joey Rodon fan club, or the JR14 club, as we call it. Where does Sanchez go from here? On the bench, because Dyer's coming back. It'll be Romero to the right of Dyer, and it'll be Davis on the left. I don't think he'll put Rodon in at the moment. If I'm an opposition coach and I'm watching Spurs, I'm attacking our right-hand side every single time. It's quite clear that we have got a major, as I said in the pod, and anybody listen to me, and you guys know it as well, we have a major issue at right wing-back. I don't know if Royale will make it yet. I know Royale's only been here 5 minutes, but he has shown very, very little offensively. Defensively, he's a very serviceable right-back. In my opinion.
Yeah, in a back four. Happy.
Yes, in a back four. I agree. But as a right wing back, I just wish we could mould Royale with Doherty and put them together and have this good defensively wing back with a really good offensive room as Doherty at Wolves, for example. Where does this lead? To answer your question, Sanchez, he needs to be taken out. He's got no confidence. Bambi on ice skating giraffe, whatever you want to call him. He doesn't want the ball. He doesn't show for it when he gets it short from Hugo on a goal kick or a rollout. He's looking to shift it on straight away, and no one's moving for him because no one's got very much confidence they're going to hit him. So they're going to get hit by him with the ball. So he's in a bit of a no-win situation.
I called him all sorts, Paul, yesterday.
Yeah,
I did yesterday.
His positioning as well is like he's always looking around as well. He doesn't. Sometimes he doesn't know where he's on the pitch in relation to his other two centre backs, which is a real problem if you're in a back three. So I'd take him out. And I think he will come out. I think if Dyer is fit for City away, Sanchez will be on the bench and maybe even dropped again to say, like, okay, take some time out.
I couldn't answer my own question really about who had the worst game, because I would say Davis was terrible. I'd say Sanchez was awful. I'd say Winks was diabolical. I'd say Lucas was just useless, to be honest. He gave the ball away so much. And to be fair, Lucas has played well.
Do you think all of that's the same with Kane? Both of them just didn't know what to do. There was no options for them, so they both went, I'm just going to take people on, because Kane was trying to do that David Beckham thing.
Kane was trying to be Wayne Rooney and like take on four players and go through, because I think he'd run out of ideas basically.
Yeah, he did do that once in the first half. He went into the half space on our right hand side and he took the ball and he did go past 3 or 4 players. But what he didn't do then was square it to a free Son. He cut back inside again, and Kane, like Romero, I believe, has got a bit of a superhero complex going on right now. I think he's trying to do too much because he knows the pressure the team is under, and he wants to take it on his shoulders. He is an elite, world-class player. He is. Whatever we think, whatever you think about him, Caller, it's been a flat track. Whatever you think he is, he's still a world-class player. And I think he's trying to shoulder too much. It's great. I said this last night. I think it's great that he's trying to take responsibility and accountability, but he can't do it on his own when you've got like the second best defense in the league. You're just going to get shut out, and he was shut out. And but he didn't get much help yesterday. So perhaps he thought he would try and be the catalyst for something to happen, but it didn't work, unfortunately.
Well, there's 166 of you watching right now, only 60 likes. So do show some love. Either smash a like, send us a super chat, let us know you're here. We'll absolutely get to your comments if you send a super chat in. moving on. 56,000 attendance, so that's the best we've had since Norwich at the start of December. We've only got now one game in the next 6, which is Everton on a Monday night. Do you think the attendance will be a bit lower for that game, perhaps?
I think it'll depend. It will be because it's a Monday. But I think if we keep going the way we have been, that could be a low attendance. That could be 40,000-ish, even lower maybe, unfortunately. Paul, will you be going?
I will be going. Yes,
Paul will be there.
I've gone to every home game. I move work around my appointments, so that's fine. Around football games, and also I like eating a lot and drinking a lot, which, as you see from my Twitter feed, you get for free where I sit. So I'm got to take advantage of that. The attendance thing is quite interesting. I thought it wasn't a bad atmosphere. It was pretty cold yesterday. It was raining. It was damp. It was wet. The performance was great after Southampton. The performance was great at Southampton. I was surprised there was that many, to be honest, yesterday. I know it was 2:00, but yeah, that attendance on the Monday night, I'll be very happy if it's like 48, 49,000. I don't think it'll be above 50. It's just another example of the club or the authorities or the fixture authorities or the people who make the fixtures not really caring about the fans. I think Monday night is a terrible time for football. I really do. I think it's awful, but it is what it is. We're at the mercy of these people. So, yeah, if it's 50 and above, I'll be amazed, but it'll be very low. But then you'll get that spun to people's agendas, like, oh yeah, nobody's bothered going to football because we're so pissed off, and it'll be an unique out thing, or it'll be a anti-Levy thing or something, and it'll be Monday night. People have got to get work up Tuesday, etc., etc.
Well, in his post-match press conference, Conte talked a lot about needing patience. Was this aimed at the board, the fans, the media, or all three, John?
Sorry, I was just removing a comment. Say again.
Well, this has to be done. In his post-match press conference, Conte talked a lot about needing patience. Was this aimed at the board, the fans, the media, or everybody?
Paul and I were discussing this earlier. I think very much so. It's aimed at the fans, maybe a bit of the media because that's the outlet to the fans. I think the board know the situation. He knows the situation that he was not going to get a full squad overhaul in January. So he knows it's biding time now until the summer when supposedly he will get the overhaul. Now, history tells us we don't necessarily do massive overhauls, but we need to. If we don't, then he's going to walk, isn't he? So I think Levy must know that. So we've got to change it. So the ultimate thing is the squad now, if we get fourth, it'll be amazing. Unless he can do something amazing. But the current team, it just isn't good enough.
It's interesting you mentioned that. So I put Twitter's always a good barometer for how people are feeling. So I, after the game yesterday evening, I put on a poll. Do you think we'll get top 4? Yes, 7%. No, 93% of the current results. And they say we're miserable on here, Paul. I mean, do you believe we can still get top 4?
Yeah, I do believe we can get top 4 because I think it's really, really tight. Obviously, I think also the competitiveness of this league by the top 3 is good. I think it's a really good competitive league that way. So there's pretty much the same kind of like level of player in. You can say Man United have got a better squad than most, but I believe that we have got as good a squad bar Fernandes, Ronaldo, and probably maybe their goalie than United. We can get top 4. The press conference thing, patience is aimed at all 3. I think he's aiming it at mostly the fans. I think he's talking to the board as well. But it's interesting. Levy's pinned his colours with Conte. He's not going to get anybody better than Conte. So if Conte walks for whatever reason, or even like Daniel wakes up one morning and thinks, you know what, just for shish and giggles, let's get rid of Conte because we've lost 3 or 4 in a spin or whatever. It's like, who does he go for? Where do we go from here? Where does the club go? There will be an almighty backlash, and there will be loads of ENIC and Levy out people getting on that hype train. There will be loads. So I don't think he's going to go. I don't think he's going to go. First and foremost, we can get top 4. It will come down to the North London derby. I think it will come down to that game. I think that if we win that, whenever it's scheduled, the feeling around the club, the players, will instantly change. That's how quick I think we can change the fan base. Well, I know it's how quick we can change the fan base. So I believe that if we're there or thereabouts, and it comes to North London derby, we play their games in hand. We're in around 4th or 5th. We win a North London derby. Everything is rosy. There you go. That's what I'm saying.
Well, Gov believes as well. If we get top, we will get top 4. Go watch and believe, Coys. And thank you very much for your super chat and your support, Gov.
Cheers,
much
Gov.
appreciated. John, you tweeted last night. Anyone else getting to the point of wanting Conte to stick some kids in because the pros aren't doing it? You touched on this earlier.
I mean, I'm not sure which kids.
Is that where you're at? I mean, you want to see Harvey White tearing up the room for midfield, do you?
Harvey White is on the bench. So if he's on the bench, is he good enough to play? Or is it just we don't have anyone else? Surely give the kids some minutes at some point because, like I say, Winks is terrible at the moment. Hojbjerg has been very poor. So why not give him a go? I mean, Jamie O'Hara looked half decent on his debut. He turned out to be terrible, didn't he? But he actually looked all right. You know, it's worth sometimes giving these kids that have come through the ranks a go. The lads that played for Wolves yesterday, I think that was his first or second start. He had a really good game. Sometimes kids can come in and have a good effect on the team. And at the moment, it's just dross. Kundal, yeah. I mean, I messaged one of my mates who was sat in the East Stand Hospitality, who's a Wolves fan. And he said, I don't know a lot about him, but I'm quite excited from what I've heard. I don't think a lot of Wolves fans knew much about him. Another one I messaged.
They're not silly. I asked my dad. And he's not. I mean, that was his debut, wasn't it? So, not really seen, but heard good things about him in the youth team. You know, so we've heard lots of good things about Harvey White.
And
why not?
That's a case where obviously Martinez injured. They played the 2 in the middle on Thursday. It didn't work. He wanted to play 3 and that man. So he put a kid in. So that's sort of my point. Is our youth set up that bad at the moment that we can't bring someone through? Because that's really worrying for me.
So we had this conversation, didn't we, John, about like the youth team, the under-23s, the under-19s. Are we playing the same system that they play 3-4 or 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 as a first team? What I'm trying to say, is there a connect between what the under-16s, 17s and 18s are being coached at, and then they come through to the under-21s, the under-23s, or Premier League 2, where it's called, and then, or are they playing like 4-5-1 or 4-3-3 or even 4-2-3-1? What I'm saying, do we have the players that are skilled enough in the systems to then come onto the bench and be able to like drop into a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3? Or is Conte going to like just completely ignore that and just that's a separate entity? Because he's all about now, isn't he, Conte? He's all about like, he doesn't care about 2 or 3 years time. He cares about now, because he's not going to be here in 2 or 3 years time. So I just wonder if these players, why we're not getting more players coming through the academy that are ready. Why we're not getting more Skips, or whatever you think about it, Tanganga. Why are we not getting more of them coming through? I don't know.
It's an interesting question. We're supposed to have the best youth setup in the country. Yeah, we've certainly got the best facilities in the country. I know McDermott and Ugo, bless his soul, Ugo, when he was alive, they took their lead from Pot, and so did Mason when he was there as well. So he was bringing players through in the same kind of ilk that Pot wanted to play in the first team, and that's where he saw like a kind of continuity. I just wonder what's happening now, because we're nowhere near Chelsea, Liverpool's, or even something like Southampton's kind of academy bringing these boys through. We're nowhere near it. We're not even close. It doesn't look like it, yeah.
Does it? It doesn't, I mean. So I just wonder if, like...
Having said that, I mean, I wouldn't lose complete hope, because, I mean, for example, Scarlett looks like he will be a player to come.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've got Troy Parrott still. I don't think he's been sold just yet. Out on loan. Obviously, the boy we just sold to Blackburn was reckoned to be up and coming, wasn't he? So I think the problem is our academy players are never given a chance. That's the biggest thing I see. Europa League, we played a couple of them, but yeah, I think this is it. I think we need to loan people out more. What Chelsea do Chelsea are a little bit different because they go and buy everybody, but what they do to dramatic effect is they loan people out across the leagues, all levels. There are loads of loans out. but we don't seem to do that.
Well, we do, and I was reading today an article, and one of the players I've mentioned before, is Keon Tete, the young lad we signed from Notts County for 300k a couple of years ago. I think he's 19 or 20, and he was at Northampton and didn't score loads of goals, but did all right. So much so that he's gone up a division to Cheltenham now, and apparently he's playing very, very well. And their manager has commented saying this guy is one to watch. So maybe, he was the one that was kicking Scott out of the under-23s last season, scoring goals. So maybe, possibility if he can maybe step up to the Championship next year or have a good pre-season, depending on if we ever sign a backup striker, because we're never going to, are we ever? Kane will be 43, still playing up front. But, we've got to have hope in these guys. And maybe Scarlett needs a loan, ultimately. He's only 17 still. So maybe
Scarlett need a loan. And Harvey, players like Harvey White. I know the other young lad's gone to Charlton, hasn't he, on loan in the window, Narjon.
Narjon hasn't played yet.
He's another one to watch.
It's not played yet.
He's another one to watch for the future. So we have got these players, but, like Markaday wanted action, didn't he? He wanted football, hence why he left to Blackburn for whatever fee.
Adrian said never went alone, but he was offered a loan with the new contract we offered him, but he refused it because obviously I think the Blackburn deal was tied up in the background.
And that's the thing. He's going to get first-team football.
Yeah.
Until he done his hamstring.
20 minutes in,
20 minutes
unluckily for him.
But and that's really unlucky. But it's probably, we should probably do a show on our youth setup. I mean, there are players in there, but it's giving them an opportunity, and we just don't seem to give players an opportunity where they're not good enough. Or Conte is not the right man to develop youth and bring youth through at our club, in my opinion, because he wants instant results.
I agree. I agree, and I think we might lose. There might be a little bit of collateral damage with some of our better youth players who are ready to come through, maybe this season or next season. A Harvey White is an example. I think we might have a little bit of collateral damage with. We might lose one or two decent talents because they know under Conte there's 2 or 3 people in front of them. If they're not, then Conte's going to go out and buy someone. Because that's what he's about. Yeah, I think you're right.
He wants instant success. Success. That's ultimately it. He's not going to wait. He's not going to build a legacy like Poch wanted to. He's a different type of manager. Kerry makes a good point. Kevin Walker-Peters. Remember the old Kevin? But
I've just seen what you did there. You fucking.
No, do you remember I called him Kevin on one of the pods and it just stuck. So, but anyway, Carl Walker-Peters, Kevin Walker-Peters. I like Kevin. Bottom line with him is he does look better than anything we've had at right back since Walker. But again, youth player that came through didn't really get a lot of opportunities or consistent opportunities. And he's had to go to a lower team, as we would say, which is arrogant, to get a chance. And he's doing all right.
But whatever you think about Hasenhüttl, he's a player's coach. He makes players better. With all due respect, our last 3 managers, Jose, Nuno, and now Conte, they don't really coach players, do they? They're more about systems and players being in part of their system. And if you can't be part of their system straight away, we'll just get rid of you. You won't play, and I'll get someone else in. So I see what Kerry's getting at, but I also think as well is that you can't keep looking back at players who have gone to like decent clubs with very, very good elite coaches and say, oh, they could have been good with us, because the time between when we sold them and where they are now, they just had more time to develop. You don't get that at Spurs. We didn't get it with Ndombele. We can't do a Jack Grealish and leave him on the bench and let him develop or let him fit in or let him get up to speed. Our signings, Bentancur, Kulu, for example, they have done to a certain extent. They've got to hit the ground running. We can't. We don't have time. We're in that part of the league setup where we can't allow players. Well, we haven't got the time to allow players to come and like build into it, like Southampton with Carl Walker-Peters. They need to have an instant impact. Yeah, they need to hit the ground running, and if they don't, you've seen what the ground's like. You've seen social media, John. They just get slagged. They've got to hit the ground running like now. And Carl Walker-Peters has been given time down at Southampton under a great coach to develop and become part of their system. Systems will always beat talent when talent can't work together. That's why Leicester won the league. That's why your teams like Southampton and to a lesser extent like Wolves we saw yesterday. It's systems with one or two very, very good players. Your Neves here, your James Ward-Prowse there. You know, your Broja, he's on loan from Chelsea. Ironically enough, up front, these players, you know, they're your little icing on the top. But your main part of the dish is going to be your systems, and your guys know exactly what to do. We have none of that. We're waiting for individual brilliance up front. And that's, I think, where you can't really like judge somebody like Kyle Walker-Peters because he wouldn't be anywhere near us right now. He wouldn't get a chance. That's why
I think he'd get a chance ahead of Royale and Doherty.
Yeah, he would definitely.
But what we're seeing now, what we're seeing of Kyle Walker-Peters now. But at the time, I watched Kyle Walker-Peters when we were at Wembley. He was like Sessegnon. He was a different player back then. He was getting bullied off the ball. He was getting smashed. He was getting shouted at left, right, and centre. He was younger, yeah. But would you have let him develop in that team at that point? What you saw of Kyle Walker-Peters back then, would you have left him in the team, Owen?
Well, I think Pochettino was developing him.
I think the problem is Pochettino wanted Foyt, whatever his name is, to be his right back. Mm-hmm. And then obviously he left. And he got injured, didn't he? In pre-season, I think it was. Because he was playing all the pre-season games as the right back after playing really well in the Copa America for Argentina at right back. And then he got injured and then he got sacked. Pochettino got sacked. So Jose came in and he played a couple of games and had a bit of a howler up at Norwich, never to be seen again, and he was sold. So I think that was, and so I think Kyle Walker-Peters was obviously done at the same time. Get rid of him out the door. He was loaned, wasn't he? In January.
Was he part of the Hojbjerg deal coming in?
No, it wasn't. No. It was the same time, but it was a loan and it helped us get Hojbjerg in the grand scheme of things. But they really liked him.
Yeah, at the time that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? We needed Hojbjerg. Hojbjerg wanted to come to Spurs, and then for whatever reason the fund
exactly. It made sense at the time, but I think there's got to be better foresight of potential. I think that's we let a lot of players that have got potential slip through the net.
Do you think part of Paratici's job description is to plan for post-Conte?
Definitely.
Do you think so?
Yeah,
really?
100%. Look what he did at Juve. I mean, he was at Juve for years planning. I think when they took over at Juve were like fourth or fifth, maybe even lower. And it takes time to build clubs up. I think everyone wants instant success, don't they? But in reality, one transfer window which is really difficult to get anything done in January, as I've said many times. I don't want to bore everyone again. It's really difficult to get anything done in January. It's going to take time, and that's why he keeps he's being quite honest, as he always is at press conferences. This is going to take a while because the squad is nowhere near where he wants it. And another question, I spoke to a couple of Spurs mates yesterday. How many players from that side do you think will be starting next season? In fact, I'll come to you two. You think about that side. So I need to nip to the loo. How many of those people do you think? John, I'll come to you first, and then you take it on, Paul. How many of that starting 11 will be at Spurs next season?
What, yesterday's starting 11? Yeah. Okay, so Hugo, definitely. Romero, that's 2. Davis will be there as a squad player, I think. Sanchez, we can get money for. So I think he'll probably be gone because it'd be a good way to get some funds in. Doherty, they'll try and get rid of him. And then into the midfield, Bentancur will obviously be there. Winks, do we think anyone's going to buy Winks? Who would take him?
Somebody like Fulham if they come up. Somebody like Fulham.
Well, I think they are going to come up, aren't they? And then the front three. Lucas is going to be 30, isn't he? So are they going to get much money for him? He still have a bit of stock around Europe. Son and Kane aren't going, I don't think. So I can't remember. Was that 5?
Yep, 5.
Yeah, 5 and then 6 go.
Yeah, from the starting 11. Go on, Karen.
From the rest of the squad, what are we thinking? Reggie, unless Real Madrid want him back, which there's talk of.
I wouldn't bank on Reggie being here next season.
Emerson, I don't think we're going to get rid of him unless we might loan him. Trying to think, Skip will stay. Hojbjerg, may or may not go, depending. Well, I mean, we need another midfielder, don't we? So it might be the Hojbjerg goes. I do wonder if some of these players might be held until January because there's a World Cup coming up at a very peculiar time, which ends just before Christmas. So the stock, we might have a very peculiar January transfer window next year where a lot of players have had good World Cups potentially, so might get moved on. That'll be the strange one next year, I think.
I think from yesterday's 11, and I'll do it slightly different from John, I think the people who are going to be there next season will be definitely Lloris, Romero, Bentancur will be here, Sessegnon will be here, and then Heung-min Son and Kane will definitely be at the club. Lucas Moura will probably be a squad player. We won't have Doherty next season. Sanchez, I think, can still command 18-20 million euros in a European club somewhere. Winks to a Fulham or even someone like a Crystal Palace or someone like that.
I was thinking more like Altrincham FC.
You're very, very harsh about him or Hempstead's Iniesta. You're very, very harsh. And then who else? Davis, I think, will be a squad player as well. Players that are not going to be around next year will definitely be Doherty. And I don't think Rodon's going to be much for Spurs. I think he really needs to go out and find himself first team football permanently as well. Galini definitely won't be in the squad next year because he's useless. And the one I'm very interested in is Bergwijn. I just obviously Leicester, what he did, that probably stopped him going to back to Ajax. I'll be very interested in what we do with Stevie B. I think there's a player there. I think he's a little bit made of glass. I think if he just can get over the injuries, I think he'll be all right. I think he gives us an option up front. But he does seem to get injured a lot. Like little knocks seem to get him out for 2 or 3 weeks. So that's where I'm at with that, really. When you talk about stuff like this, it means there's a lot of work to be done, isn't there? There's an awful lot of work when you start looking.
I think there's loads. I think it's going to be a massive summer window, massive, and it has to be to make us competitive again, truly competitive. I'm talking top 4 competitive because let's make no mistake, with their being top 4 competitive this season because of the ineptitude of others. Like it's because Man United are still poor, still haven't sorted their issues out. They're just as bad as us, really. You've got Arsenal. I don't think they're going to finish top 4. I think they're a poor side, if I'm being really honest, but they're doing okay at the moment. We'll see what happens there, but inconsistent, certainly. West Ham, inconsistent. Leicester were there last season, not there this season, inconsistent. So there's all these teams, and Wolves obviously coming through completely inconsistent as well. So you're talking about us being there because default position this season. Next season, I would imagine people would have started to sort their act out a little bit more. You'd certainly hope so. So we've got to strengthen big time in the summer, and we've got to make sure that we get the right players in to play for Conte. Ultimately, I do believe that the 2 we signed from Juve were Conte signings, 100%. Bentancur tried to sign before at Inter. So I think it's a good sign. It makes it look to me like we've got the right people running our transfers for a change. So I think the summer we'll be very busy on the cheese room doing lots of transfer shows to keep up with it all. But I think we'll be busy. Switching gears, Manchester City away on Saturday, just when it couldn't get any worse. What do we do about that then, John? Do you think we're going to get anything from that? I mean, historically, all I'd say is historically, City has been a happy hunting ground for us.
The only way you're going to get anything is by hitting them with pace on the counter. And that's what we did in the Champions League with Son and Lucas really hitting them. Otherwise, I can't see us getting much. We've got to try and get the ball and not give the ball away. That was the one thing we've not touched on today. How many times did we give the ball away yesterday? It was shocking. We've got to look after the ball. If you are constantly chasing that City team as they tippy-tappy around, our players will be exhausted after 55 minutes. So we've got to look after the ball and we've got to be clinical on the counter-attack, which at the moment I don't think we will be, unfortunately. But that's the only way we'll get a result.
Paul, would you win? It'd be just like Spurs, wouldn't it? Lose a couple on the bounce, 3 on the bounce, and then go win at the Champions. That's what Spurs do, isn't it?
Yeah, it is what we do. I can't remember us being in such a low ebb of confidence and then going to somewhere like City. I'll be ecstatic with a 0-0 or a 1-1. I'd be absolutely ecstatic with a draw. I don't think we're going to win. I'm actually really scared. It's going to get nasty, as in like 3, 4, even 5. So I just can't see us getting much out of that game, to be honest. They've got quality, as we all know, all over the field. They've worked around not having a number 9. They've been playing Foden there or someone else. Pep's a bit of a magician that way with his tactics. And John's right. We've got to look after the ball. We've got to have some passes in midfield. We've got to move progressively, if we have the ball, move progressively up the field as a unit, and we've got to close the spaces down. This will be where we could go for 3-5-2 and then just try and flood the midfield, do a Southampton or do a Wolves against them and try and stifle them that way. But it's going to be a tough watch. It'll be a tough watch, in my opinion.
They've lost 2 games all season. Obviously, we beat them once, so they'll be hungry for revenge about that, I would imagine. Yeah. But, we know the formula to beat them. Stay really defensively tight, press everything, and be liquid on the break, really quick.
Yep.
So I hope that's what we're going to go for. And we'll be previewing that game on Friday evening right here on the Cheese Room YouTube channel. Other news, Romero and Lo Celso Martinez and Bienda have been suspended by FIFA for 2 international matches. This is great news. It means Romero can't get injured on international duty, John. How about that?
Yeah, well, as HG pointed out to us earlier, they've already qualified, so Argentina won't really care. So happy days. It means he's not going. It's Buendia, by the way, not Bendia.
That's what I said, isn't it?
Okay.
Buendia.
That's it. Yeah.
Buendia.
But guaranteed, Lo Celso will get injured somehow on that international break. Doesn't matter if he's playing for us or not, even though he's not there. But yeah, it's good news.
A couple of happy birthdays today as well. Christian Eriksen turns 30 today, would you believe? Played a friendly for Brentford today. So good to see him back on his feet. And also the former Spurs winger from the 60s, Derek Posse. Have I said that right?
Yeah. I don't know. I'd never heard of him till I saw it on Facebook.
Well, you've done very well there.
There's another one as well. There's another couple, actually. There's Tashan Oakley Booth from more recent times. And another one I spotted, which I didn't put on the run sheet, was Connor Ogilvie, who is now at Portsmouth, which I didn't realise.
All these lucky players who get to be born on Valentine's Day, yeah? Romantic.
All these youngsters that we basically got rid of.
Well, look, we've been going an hour and 20 minutes, so thank everyone for their participation. John, firstly, thanks very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. I mean, it's always a pleasure to speak to you. It's just a shame we can't celebrate a win, really. Same old, I'm afraid.
I would have gone yesterday, so it's done me. The COVID's actually done me a favour there as well, has to be said. So
it has.
But yeah, it's great to see. I'm feeling a bit better now. Hopefully, it's my day 10, so I can go out tomorrow as well. Should be quite nice to get some fresh air. Oh, and the cat's just jumped on the desk, so hopefully he might knock over everything in a minute.
Very good, Paul. Thanks for coming on.
Pleasure, always. Thanks for having me on. It's nice to be here and have a chat with you caller. Despite what we say on Twitter, I actually quite like talking to you. So it's nice to talk to you.
Oh, you're so cute. Don't forget football prizes. Get your ticket for the signed Aussie ID list. Become a Patreon. Save 33% on all tickets on football prizes, which is incredible. And I've also got this other prize up at the moment, which is two hospitality tickets of your choice, $9.95, 65 tickets. So really good odds on that one.
What's the next one? Come. Go Come on, you Spurs.